Picture this scenario. You're lying awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, and your mind is racing. It's cycling through every possible small-scale disaster that could strike tomorrow. Your car could make that strange noise again, the one that sounds expensive. Your laptop, the one you need for work, could finally die. What if your pet gets sick? For millions of us, this isn't a wild fantasy. It's a constant, low-level hum of anxiety rooted in a single, stark number in a bank account. It's the feeling that you're walking on a tightrope without a safety net, where one small gust of wind could lead to a catastrophe. But what if I told you there's a way to build that net? That the first, most important step isn't about getting rich, but about becoming resilient? Now let's dive into what makes this milestone so special. Before we can even talk about building wealth, we have to talk about stability. And stability begins with confronting what I call the gravity of zero. It's a powerful force that does more than just keep your bank account empty. It holds your mind hostage. When you have no financial buffer, you're constantly playing defense. Every decision, no matter how small, becomes a high-stakes calculation. You know that feeling when you're at the grocery store, mentally calculating whether you can afford the name brand cereal, or if you need to stick with the generic version that tastes like cardboard. That's not just budgeting. That's a hidden tax on your mental energy. Behavioral economists have a term for this: decision fatigue. It's the idea that our capacity for rational thought gets depleted by the sheer quantity of choices we have to make. For someone at zero, this is their daily reality. A slightly higher utility bill isn't an inconvenience. It's a potential crisis meeting. An invitation to dinner with friends forces you to come up with a creative excuse, because admitting that a $25 meal would derail your entire week feels impossible. This constant cognitive load, the mental energy spent navigating a minefield of small financial threats, corrodes your ability to think long-term. It's impossible to design a skyscraper when all your energy is spent patching leaks in the foundation. This psychological weight is mirrored by a harsh financial reality. Let's map out how the cycle perpetuates itself. Consider a common scenario. A flat tire requires an urgent $300 repair. Without savings, the only immediate option is often a credit card. If that balance isn't paid in full, and for most people living at zero, it won't be, it begins to accrue interest, often at punishing rates. That new debt now acts as a siphon, drawing away a portion of next month's income before you even see it. This reduces your capacity to save, making it even more likely that the next unexpected expense will also go on the card. When we analyze this process, we see a vicious feedback loop. A small emergency creates high-interest debt, which deepens your financial fragility, which in turn makes the next emergency even more devastating. This is how people with steady incomes can feel like they are running on a treadmill, working harder and harder just to stay in the same place. It's a trap, and it's not a personal failing. It's a systemic one. Therefore, the first $1,000 is not an investment in the traditional sense. It's not meant to generate returns or to build wealth. Its function is far more critical. It is a tool designed to break the cycle. It is the shield that absorbs the initial shock of an unexpected event, transforming a potential crisis into a mere inconvenience. It's the essential first step in escaping the powerful, binding force of zero. So, if living at zero is a trap, how do you escape? The answer requires more than just willpower. It requires a strategy, A concrete plan of action that transforms that vague desire for more money into tangible capital in your bank account. Forging this $1,000 shield isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of engineering. Think of it as a short, focused campaign fought on two fronts, meticulously managing the money going out while actively seeking small, strategic ways to bring more money in. This isn't a lifelong sentence of deprivation. It's a temporary, disciplined sprint with a clear finish line. Designed to build the single most important tool for your financial future. It's a 4-step escape plan, a blueprint for constructing that resilience from scratch. The first step is the audit, because you absolutely cannot manage what you do not measure. For a period of 30 days, your mission is to become a forensic accountant of your own life. Every single transaction, from that morning coffee to your monthly streaming subscription, must be tracked and categorized. You can use an app, a spreadsheet, or a simple notebook. The tool doesn't matter. The process does. This is not an exercise in judgment or guilt. You're not supposed to feel bad about what you find. This is pure data collection. When we analyze the habits of people who successfully build savings, this period of intense observation is an almost universal starting point. It transforms the vague, amorphous concept of my spending into a clear, detailed map. For the first time, you might stop being a passenger in your own financial life and become the navigator. Clearly seeing the currents and eddies that pull your resources off course. This audit illuminates the gap between what you think you spend and where your cash is actually flowing. It's within this gap that the first dollars of your emergency fund are found. With this data in hand, the second step is to design a war budget. I use that term very deliberately. This is not a gentle, permanent lifestyle change. It is a temporary, high-intensity strategy with a single objective: liberating cash flow to fund your $1,000 goal. Using the intelligence you gathered from your audit, identify the 2 or 3 largest areas of discretionary or non-essential spending. For many people, this is dining out, subscription services, or impulse online purchases. The strategy here is to make deep, decisive cuts in these few areas, rather than trimming tiny amounts from everywhere. Instead of forgoing your daily coffee for a few dollars, maybe the real goal is to eliminate all restaurant meals for 2 months. It's a common myth that wealth is built by skipping lattes. The data shows that large, temporary sacrifices in your most significant spending categories have a far greater and faster impact. This approach concentrates your effort, creates visible results quickly, and is psychologically more manageable because it has a defined endpoint: the moment your shield is fully funded. The third, and arguably most critical step, is to build an automated system. Let's be honest, willpower is a finite resource. Relying on it to manually save money each month is a flawed strategy because life always gets in the way. Behavioral economics teaches us that we are all susceptible to inertia and temptation. The single most effective way to save is to remove the decision from your own hands. You achieve this by setting up an automatic transfer from your primary checking account to a separate, designated savings account, ideally at a different bank to make impulse withdrawals just a little more difficult. This transfer should be scheduled to execute the day after you receive your paycheck. By paying yourself first, you treat your savings not as a leftover, but as the most important bill you have to pay. We see that this simple system bypasses the psychological traps of procrastination and negotiation. The money is moved before you have a chance to miss it, building your savings in the background. You're no longer just trying to save. You have engineered a machine that saves for you. Finally, step 4 is to open an income offensive. While defense, Cutting your expenses is crucial. A proactive offense can dramatically accelerate your timeline. Now, this doesn't mean you need to start a new business or find a new career overnight. For the purpose of this initial milestone, the focus is on small, accessible gains. It's about finding the margins. This could be selling unused items in your home, which simultaneously declutters your life and funds your goal. It could be taking on a few extra hours of freelance work in a skill you already possess, or participating in the gig economy for one evening a week. The objective here isn't to get rich. It's to generate an extra $50 or $100 a month. When you direct these small amounts entirely into your emergency fund, they act as a powerful accelerant. They also provide an incredible psychological boost, proving that you have the agency not just to manage your existing resources, but to create new ones. Together, these 4 steps, audit, budget, automate, and accelerate, form a comprehensive and cohesive strategy. They create a system that first understands, then optimizes, and finally automates the process of building your first critical financial tool. It's a disciplined, short-term plan that systematically dismantles the gravity of zero, replacing financial fragility with the foundations of security, one deliberate dollar at a time. The accumulation of that first $1,000 is not an endpoint. It is a transformation. Crossing this threshold is less a financial transaction and more a psychological event horizon. The shield, forged in the fires of discipline and strategy, does more than simply sit in your bank account. It fundamentally rewires your relationship with risk, opportunity, and the future itself. The gravity of zero has been broken, and in its place, a new force emerges, the momentum of agency. The most immediate and profound change is the lifting of that cognitive load we talked about. The constant, low-level hum of financial anxiety, which had previously occupied so much of your mental bandwidth, begins to fade. Your mind, freed from the relentless calculus of survival, can now allocate its precious resources to bigger picture thinking. Think back to that flat tire that once triggered a debt spiral. With a $1,000 fund, the event is completely recategorized. The word crisis is replaced with inconvenience. You're annoyed, sure, but you're not panicked. The repair is paid for in cash. The vicious debt cycle is averted, and your immediate focus shifts to a calm, strategic replenishment of the fund. This single change breaks the most insidious chain of financial fragility. This is where you begin to feel what psychologists call an internal locus of control. A powerful belief that you have control over your own life. This quiet confidence isn't born from wealth, but from proven capability. You faced a difficult challenge. You engineered a system. You executed a plan, and you achieved a concrete result. This victory proves that your financial situation is not something that merely happens to you, but something you can actively shape. This psychological shift unlocks a new practical reality. You are no longer just reacting to life's events. You become the architect of choice. More importantly, this fund creates the ability to seize opportunities that were previously unthinkable. It might be the capacity to finally leave a toxic work environment, with that small buffer providing the time to find a better job. It could be the freedom to invest in a small professional certification that unlocks a higher salary. In essence, the emergency fund acts as venture capital for your own life. It purchases options. The option to say no to exploitation, and the option to say yes to growth. Ultimately, the process of saving the first $1,000 installs a keystone habit. In behavioral science, a keystone habit is a single, foundational practice that creates a positive cascade effect throughout other areas of your life. The discipline of tracking, the foresight of budgeting, and the wisdom of automation do not vanish once the goal is reached. They become ingrained. You have not just saved $1,000, you have learned how to save. This skill set is infinitely more valuable than the money itself. It is the blueprint that will be used again and again with increasing efficiency to to build the next $10,000 and the $100,000 after that. This initial fund, therefore, represents the tangible proof that a different future is possible. It is the first chapter in a longer story of financial empowerment, a testament to the idea that, from small deliberate actions, a life of stability, choice, and profound freedom can be meticulously constructed, $1 at a time.